Okay, good morning, everybody. I think it's totally cool that we're like the biggest group in this office, and this is the only room we can possibly actually have a meeting in. This is cool. I was told that this is something more akin to like a teleportation ring, right? Or a WWF ring, one of the two. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for taking time out of your day. This is the second one of these things I've done. Here's the agenda. Normally I'm not so PowerPointy, but I do have a rather short and brief memory sometimes, so I figured it's better I put it out on a PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to talk about things going on with facilities, things going on with personnel, a couple of project updates, strategic vision and planning, some things that have been going on there, and then finally we're going to talk about employee recognition, which is probably the best thing of the bunch here. So first things first. I was hoping that we could do this essentially quarterly, and for the employee recognition piece also do that quarterly. So let's plan on that, and we'll start getting a schedule out to do this on a quarterly basis. Okay, facilities items. So Catalina Landing move complete. Who lives at Catalina Landing? Okay, so how's it going so far? Is there like free donuts every day? Every day that I go over there, there's like donuts and bagels. Bacon and eggs every day? That's part of the Catalina package. Any issues going on there? So far so good, or anything bothering you, or anything I can help with? Yeah, I am too, and I thanks to everybody involved. I know it was disruptive. There was a ton of work that went on actually getting that done, so thanks to all the people who helped put that thing together. Are you enjoying covered parking? No soot on your cars, anything like that, right? Yeah, I kind of want to get parking over there myself. Just, it's just a nicer spot. Yeah, exactly. Car's not hot, no soot on it, no oil refinery on it. Yeah, you got it. I'm with you. See, there's benefits. Okay, let's talk about new cubes on the third floor. So obviously moving to Catalina Landing was one of the first things going on with the move and the upgrade of the building here, which is a multi-year project. What I am told, and Cara is involved in a lot of this, we're still awaiting the final cube layout, the plans and the drawings for what's going to happen on the third floor. However, there will be a small group that will pilot the new cubes in the northeast corner of the third floor. And I hope I got the directions right there. That's northeast corner, okay? They're not giving you new cubes. They're basically taking the old cube hardware and breaking it down and rebuilding it into a different configuration, okay? But the first group will go over there. I don't know what the timeline is, but it's probably in the next few months. Is that right? Okay. So a little bit more disruption, but hopefully that'll go quickly, and then we'll get folks moved over there. In general, it will be members of George Mansour's team that are essentially wrapped around that corner and into the main part of the third floor, and then we'll fill in the rest of it. So that is coming. From what we can tell, we do not have enough space to move everybody onto either the third floor or Catalina Landing. So we will still, yay, right? You like that? We will still have a footprint on the second floor. We decided it's best to squat there for now and keep our footprint there, because I'm telling you, otherwise, as soon as we move out of there, somebody else is going to go in and we're going to be potentially scattered all over the place. So we decided to keep our footprint on the second floor. Another thing that we're also exploring here, this office still has old Cat 5 everywhere. I think it's about 18 years old, and in speaking with Mr. Relier about this, he actually is inclined to potentially move forward with moving the entire office to Cat 6 even before we get to the main portions of the remodel of this entire building. We'll see. We would have to stage it. We'll have to see if it's the right thing monetarily to do. But we did essentially get approval on improving that piece of the office infrastructure, which I think is great and very needed and necessary. Okay, some personnel items. We now have a new permanent chief information officer, and his name is, drum roll please, George Mansour. Congratulations. Yep. Really? That's not what it says. It's not what it says in the org chart. Oh, shoot. George, you just got 2 promotions. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Okay, we will begin the process, the HR personnel process of filling the Director of Technical Services position. We need to have a convo about that probably with Christy and get that moving. Okay, but we will backfill that. We have an opportunity if you need to change anything about it or what, but we will move forward on that one. Other personnel items. I know this has been asked. Right now, no plans to backfill the deputy CIO position. Right now, we're just earning salary savings on that. It's not saying that we never will, but at the moment, not feeling the need. Just still want to get the layout of the land. So we're waiting on that one. There is a new position that was essentially given to us by Mr. Relier and Lori Lamb on their way out. And this is a director of ITS strategic initiatives. So this is not one that I lobbied for specifically, but it was given to us. It would report to me. It has no current staff underneath it. Essentially, there's a desire to develop more in-house resources. Okay, and I know sometimes we use a lot of consultants, but in this case, we want to develop a long-term in-house resource to work on very large-scale and high-profile and complex projects. This person would start by working on CHRS, but then would transition to other projects that are going on not just in this division, but elsewhere in the office. So organizationally, it sits under me. In a certain sense, it reports to, Steve Relier or whoever this person's going to work with. It was also described to me as, think of it as someone who is like your own Brad Wells type of person, okay, to work on high-level projects. So that's being flown right now. Other personnel item that's going on here is HR and I have talked about an IT reclassification study. So this is actually very, very long overdue. I think the last time we did an IT reclassification study was in the early 90s, and we're still living with the classifications that were created then. HR is going to convene folks here in the Chancellor's office and also in the field, because our classifications are also used out in the field at the campuses in their IT shops. And just basically review them. Are they still valid? Are they still the right classifications? Do they have the right specs, the right minimum quals? This is our opportunity to either add or remove certain classifications off the books if they're no longer needed, right? And to better reflect what a current skill set and duties would be for these classifications. And they will begin asking for your input here probably in the next month or two. We're creating a committee, and we will gather input across the state on this. The other thing, too, is an opportunity to better reflect labor market requirements, okay? And that could be a hidden code for adjust pay to properly compensate folks. Also regionally, these are going to have pretty wide bands of pay. So you've got issues out in the field where the labor market in San Jose is very different than the labor market in Bakersfield, right? So hopefully that helps us align what's the actual labor market need. And I've been told it's probably about an 18-month process. Go through the process internally. You come up with a proposed document, and then it has to go to, I guess, the unions for conference at that point. So this is beginning. since I've never been through it before here, I don't know what it leads to. I don't know whether it's going to lead to anybody changing classifications or things getting grandfathered in or just what, but I'm actually hoping that this leads to better things for everybody and a better alignment with, your career ladders, essentially. Okay? All right, some projects going on. So, Lori Lamb has left. That's a big hole. Andrew Jones has been named the Interim Vice Chancellor of Human Resources. He is currently working in the General Counsel's office. I've met with him once. His knowledge so far of HR and specifically of CHRS is still very, very high level. But for the moment, he is going to have to take the lead and the sponsorship lead, I think along with Evelyn on this one on the HR side. So we do have a body there, and they're going to begin their recruitment for the full new HRVC pretty soon. The other one going on, it's about ready to start, is Scenic Fiber Study. Scenic is the fiber network that connects all of our campuses together. And we're on the board of Scenic. And our campuses are connected to the Scenic backbone with other fiber lines, and some of which are owned by us and some of which are leased from telcos like AT&T and Sprint and Verizon and things like that. Scenic is going to do a fiber study for us on our behalf to actually see what would it cost to get rid of all of the leased lines that go to the campuses to where we could buy as much what's referred to as dark fiber to connect all of our campuses up, and we would own that forever and permanently and get rid of ongoing lease costs for circuits off of our books. So I've had the discussion upstairs about it. It would require some one-time money depending on how much we're talking about, but it certainly would save a lot of ongoing money over the course of time. So they're going to do that study for us. Okay, want to take a bit of a deep dive here into another new project that's probably going to get into a lot of your purview here pretty soon here. So this is what we refer to as the Data Lake Project. So I'm essentially a data guy. I ran a big data warehouse for the community college system for many years. And I'm used to working with a big central data repository. And in my first 90 days or so here, what I basically have noticed are these things. We actually have a ton of data here. It's scattered all over the office. It's scattered all over the system, but it's not in any one central location. A lot of them have data gatekeepers that are also somewhere else in the office, right? Data ownership and stewardship is rightfully with the people who actually work with the data on the daily basis, but to build things, we actually do need data sitting in one location. It's a much secure location than what we have now. We have no true central data repository, okay? A lot of campuses are now developing their own data warehouses and business intelligence tools. Others have not because they don't have the money, and they're using all kinds of platforms to do this. And a lot of these data systems, as they were built, were never architected to talk to each other, right? You know, people, in order to answer a question around here, they do what I refer to as thumbnet. They walk upstairs onto the 4th floor with their thumb drive and grab data here, and then they go here, and then they go here, okay? Things are just not designed to talk to each other. In the graduation initiative that's coming up, we're going to need data, okay? We're going to need data to do big data analysis of how do we get students through the system in a faster and more efficient manner. What are the friction points? We need data to set goals and targets. We need data to benchmark. And we need external data to add to the data sets that we already have. California Department of Ed, they have an entire student unit record K-12 system that can tell us a lot about the students that are coming to us. We can mine that. Community college system, same thing. National Student Clearinghouse tells us where do students leave after here, or for those who apply to CSU who do not get in or choose to go somewhere else, where else are they going? Where are we losing our students to? The Employment Development Department has wage data for all of our students and graduates so we can find out how much are they making before, during, and after the time at which they're inside CSU. And it also tells us a lot about the preparation upon entry and other workforce outcomes that our students have. So there's a whole world of data out there, and we're not leveraging it very well. So the concept of creating our own data lake, as opposed to a data warehouse, mind you, data lake is a place where you put raw data, and we'll explain this in a minute. We want to create a single data lake for all the relevant CSU system data, okay? We don't need to change where all this data is currently stored or run transactionally, but we want to extract the data from all these silos and essentially put them in one location for us to use. And then we want to automate that data moving into the lake, okay? So essentially, we're going to start with a pond. And the data sets that we have looked at and decided we're going to put into this include the ERSS files, which are essentially student records, students and enrollments and awards information, APDP, which is the academic planning database, the programs that we offer, essentially, FIRMS, which is the financial database that comes out of the PeopleSoft Finance, SFDB, which is a facilities management database, EDD wage data, and data that's going to come from the new right of the CSU mentor, so applicants data. We're going to throw all this together. We're not asking any campuses to come up with anything new. These are all existing data sets, but we're going to put them in one location. We're going to anonymize the data. We're going to get rid of SSNs. We're going to create our own hashed pseudo ID so that we get rid of a lot of personally identifiable information in it. And then we're going to map it. We're going to link the key fields, find the places where you can do cross-query, create a data element dictionary for all of this. Okay? From this, where all of these raw data sits, you create a secondary piece called a semantic layer. This is essentially where people will do most of their query work. You create a business representation of the data, right? You make it standardized, a little cleaner, a little faster to query, etc. Okay? You create better query structures. You put in calculated and derived fields. This is where you throw in your external data. And then we want to feed it back to the campuses. Obviously, there will be many people in this office who would query this, but the campuses themselves need this because they're going out right now and doing all this stuff on their own. And this is something that we should and could be servicing them with. Okay? The environment that we're thinking about giving them is one of a virtual query environment. So essentially using VMware, you're going to create a virtual environment that somebody at a campus, say a campus researcher, can go in and access this semantic layer in the data lake using whatever tools they want to use, but it's locked and secured and it's in a virtual environment, okay? And then they will be able to use it centrally the same way we will. They should have their own scratch area. They can upload their own data into it, etc., because they're going to need to do that too. But we also want to limit them on what they can download. Okay, that's a security element. And then ultimately, the real work, which is what are we going to do with all this data? And that's researchers and professional development people and campus people, you know, using this data to essentially do common things with it. They suddenly, when they have this data, they have a common lingo, a common language that they can all use. We then can build our own back-end apps off of this, dashboards, reporting. So for instance, what Jeff Gold is doing with the student dashboard would be served by this instead of something totally separate. And the folks in this office are excited about this. You know, Ed Sullivan, he's on board. Jeff is on board. The folks in academic services are on board with this. They want this. It also allows when new data comes down the pipe, it's immediately updated for everyone's use. Data should exist in one location in one place. We have actually chosen to pilot this using Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, it is something that is a very quick and actually inexpensive platform for us to start off with, and this is going to be done in Cheryl Kwiatkowski's unit with a lot of help from George's unit and Mike Trulinger. We've all been working on this, but this is what we're going to start off with and roll with for now. We're not picking any tools yet. Everyone in this office is going to continue using the same tools that they're using now to access this. Okay? So when you hear data lake, this is essentially what we're doing. And it is a pilot, and we're going to see how it goes and see how it is accepted and see if these data structures work for us. And in the future, we will see if this is something that takes off. Okay? Okay. A little bit about strategic vision and planning. So a few weeks ago, we had a retreat up in Sonoma for ITAC, which is the 23 CIOs of the system. And we basically had a 2-day retreat where we essentially wanted to walk them through the creation of some strategic planning issues. We essentially want to get that group on board with a strategic vision for IT, not just for our office, but for the entire system. In doing so, I started the group off with, okay, here's the overview of where we're at and what are the operating tenets of ITS here in the Chancellor's office. And I wanted to provide these to you because essentially this is in my mind what it is that we should be doing and helping the campuses on. Okay, number one, we're all here to serve students. And everyone in the room then definitely agreed that is the ultimate thing. Anything we do, we look through the filter of how does this benefit the student. 2, we're trying to reduce friction anywhere between systems and people, improve interoperability with things. We're a service entity to campuses. We're a facilitation entity. We want to coordinate between all kinds of players, campuses and vendors, the state, foundations, the feds, lobbying organizations, the other segments in California, other states, and social justice and progress organizations who also want access to data. Okay? Secondarily, we want to reduce their workload, not increase it. Don't want to be the bureaucrat, want to try and find the way to make it easier for them. We want to free up local money, because local money freed up means more money to the student. So we want to be efficient. We want to create equity amongst campuses and students. So some of these campuses have a lot more resource than others. And it's actually one of our jobs to reduce that disequity. We want to have a higher bar and level of what we provide and deliver to them so that the smaller campuses, the students there, what they see in their experience is exactly the same quality from an IT perspective as a bigger campus that has a lot more resource. The goal of the retreat was to essentially come up with 3 prioritization lists. What is the roadmap for the first year? What is the roadmap between 1 and 3 years? And then what are some of the more visionary prospective things that the CIOs of the system wanted? And we will create a document out of this, tactical and strategic plan. One of the questions brought up there was, okay, look, we actually don't have any money. You know, why are we doing a lot of this? And here's what we talked about. You may not have a whole pile of money sitting around to start a whole bunch of new projects, but you still need to strategically plan as far as if we had another dollar, what would we do with it? Okay? So you got to be ready when there's an opportunity. Sometimes you can go 3, 4, 5 years and not get anything new coming your way. But if you find that right year and things fall into your place and you don't have something ready to roll, you're going to go to the back of the line. And somebody else who is ready with a plan and ready with, here's how we're going to affect student success in this system, will get the money first. So I always plan on being the first guy in line with the plan when they're thinking about what are we going to do next. Funding isn't always passed through our budgets. So IT is a critical component of a whole bunch of other projects and proposals that may go down, okay? And we want to integrate ourselves into other proposals that go on in this office so that we get a piece of it to support whatever it is they're doing. Funding isn't always from the state. So, for instance, the Gates Foundation, who is going to be here later on this week, they're desperately looking to do something in California. They just don't know what, because they generally feel California is a crazy, crazy place to try and get something done. But they want to do something here because we have all the students they want to get to. They're more than willing to fund proposals that look good to them. And so this is a way to get projects off the ball. We can achieve internal savings on projects too. As we finish projects up or achieve efficiencies, for instance, like I talked about the fiber study, that would free up money. And we can recycle that money and do something else with it. And that's something we should also look for. Some things from a strategic planning process cost absolutely nothing. And these are things you should do anyway. Okay? You can clear legal hurdles and administrative blockades. So one of the issues going on right now, we're supposed to build a data warehouse for the Center for Teacher Quality